She'd been driving for hours by the time she finally found what felt like the right place. Hours in the heat of midsummer in a car with no air conditioning. The car was a relic. She could feel the springs through the worn down to almost nothing upholstery. A cracked cylinder casing made the engine very loud. A scruffy, struggling musician named Hoke had wanted $2,000 for the red 1963 Ford Falcon Futura. A sometimes employed session musician, Hoke had once upon a time played drums on a top 40 country single. But he was broke. Hoke is broke, he'd said. It almost seemed funny at the time. But Nashville was full of guys like Hoke. Country slackers betting everything on a long-shot dream of hitting big in the music biz, forever fluttering around the edges of that elusive break. A great many of them wound up selling or hawking everything they owned to stay off the streets. She'd dated more than a few such dreamers. More than one had broken her heart until she'd become hardened against the type. Which explained why Hoke's cut-rate charm and easy grin had failed to move her. In her younger days, she would have been all over him, would maybe have dragged him into the Falcon's back seat as an extra way of consummating the deal. But that, as they say, was then, and this was thump, thump, thump. The banging sound from the trunk again, and then a muffled cry. Christ. Shut the Hoke! The cry came again, a voice turned hoarse and ragged from hours of intermittent screaming and pleading. The Falcon's radio was factory original, AM dial only. She thought she might look into ways of modernizing the sound system while retaining the authentic original look. An XM or Sirius radio setup wired up under the dash, maybe. She'd read about such things. Would have been cool. But obviously that couldn't happen now. She would have to ditch the car. She snapped on the radio and found a static, garbled gospel station. She left it there, knowing the antiquated radio would have difficulty locking on any signal out here in the sticks. The singer sounded vaguely like Al Green, so this was fine with her. She turned the volume up, and the sound swallowed Hoke's cries. She glanced again at the gas station map spread across the passenger seat and decided this was indeed the place. Old Fork Road ran parallel to the long-deserted town of Dandridge. In less than a mile from her current location, it would branch off into a numbered rural route and wind deeper into the wilderness. She tapped her thumbs on the Falcon's big red steering wheel and watched for the fork in the road. The car's odometer was stuck at 62,536 miles, so tracking distance was a matter of guesswork. The road narrowed as it snaked and twisted. The tall trees to either side of the road shadowed the Falcon's interior and provided welcome relief from the heat. But then an edgy feeling took root within her. She was sure she'd gone more than a mile on Old Fork by now. But where was the fork in the goddamn road? She looked at the map again and almost missed it as she clumsily steered the Falcon around a sharp curve in the road. She let out a screech and slammed the brake pedal to the floor. The Falcon's tires squealed on the cracked and faded asphalt, and she heard a louder thump from the trunk over the gospel music. The sudden jolting stop had probably not been fun for Hoke. Good, she thought.